Can you see my screen now?
We can see it.
Excellent. 1, 2, or 5 years ago, I never could have imagined that I'd be sitting here today to present my 100-page thesis research. Good evening, or good morning if you are watching from the Middle East. My name is Mohammed Aljumaili, and today I will present to you my master's defense regarding global conflicts, cybersecurity, climate change, and its impact on global economy. The agenda for today is to give you the reason for why I chose this topic. We will watch a short video, and then I will talk a little bit about my history in Iraq during the war, and also we'll talk about each individual topic separately and give you some facts. I also will be talking about the sources and how I gathered my information to write my thesis and to prove my thesis. Then we will I will talk about the solution, and then we will have a discussion. So if you have any questions, we can save it for after the presentation. Okay, if you could watch this video first before I start.
We've known Mohammed and his mother Jinan for over a year now, and the last time we saw him in Iraq, he was not standing this tall or this proud. Mohammed lost his leg nearly 2 years ago when a car bomb targeting a U.S. convoy exploded in front of his house. I was sitting here, he explains. My cousin, who was killed by shrapnel, was playing over there. He heard her screams before he blacked out. Every day, he made the heartbreaking journey to his cousin's grave to water the tree he planted next to it. His story, broadcast on CNN, came to the attention of the Global Medical Relief Fund, a U.S. charity that offered to help. I cannot express my feelings, his mother Jinan's voice cracks. Only tears can speak to the entire world. My son's life changed after we went to America. He used to be depressed. Now he walks with pride. They went back home to the war-devastated city of Fallujah that saw some of the fiercest fighting of this war and bore the brunt of America's military might. When they came back, everyone wanted to know what America was like. I had an impression that Americans were similar to those that killed and destroyed, Jinan admits, but frankly, when I went there, I saw humanity and kindness beyond description. But having experienced life in America, coming back to Iraq was a traumatic reality check. The worst day in my life was when I returned to Iraq, Mohammed admits. The overwhelming fear came back. I don't wander far from home, he says. I'm scared of another explosion. Still, he makes the daily trip to his cousin's grave. We were very close, he says, as we walk through the cemetery. Today, Mohammed's only wish is to leave Iraq. After what I suffered here, he says, no, I won't miss Iraq. This country is over. Iraq will never return as it was. Never. Arwa Damon CNN, Fallujah, Iraq.
So yes, that was me and my mother. So that's the main reason I chose this topic, is because I suffered from the war in Iraq, and my mom and I, we had to go through a lot during the Iraq war. And the economic impact that resulted after the Iraqi war, we end up selling everything we have and end up with nothing, basically, when we moved to America. And then we had to start from nothing. Global conflict hurts a lot of countries, not just Iraq or these countries in the Middle East that have war. There are many reasons for each one of us to act today to stop wars and conflicts all around the world. Beside the economic reason, according to Cost of War project that was sponsored by Brown University, there were more than 32 billion expenses after World War I and World War II that the United States suffered, which led also to an economic crisis and a recession all around the globe, including North America, United Kingdom, and Germany. A recent report from the same source indicate that the war on terror after 9/11 cost the world over $20 trillion for militarization and law enforcement. In the last 20 years, the United States alone spent over $8 trillion and killed more than 900,000 people. And by the way, that number, the 8 trillion thousand, 3 trillions from that money went to veterans programs, thousands of billions of dollars went to homeland security, and 732 billion went to law enforcement and private security agencies. Cybercrimes. There was a lot of reasons that we can argue here that cyber attacks impacted the global economy. If we look at major companies like Hollywood entertainment companies like Sony or others, they all been impacted through hackers because of financial reasons. Based on many leaders that I've been in contact with or interviewed during this research, they said cybercrime is the greatest threat to every company in the world, and that including business owners as well. Official reports shows that cybercrimes cost the world about $6 trillion each year. That's a really big number. And there's other reports like, or reporters like Christopher Flove, sorry, I can't pronounce his name right, but he's a reporter at New York Times. He said there's a major impact to the whole economy if we don't fix the cyber hacking. Climate change. Another resource I found about climate change that was published a couple of days ago, also in New York Times. It says, global leaders warning that climate change could cut the world economy by 23 trillion by the year of 2050. Climate change experts believe that 18% of the global GDP could be wiped off by the year 2050 if temperature rise over 3.2 degrees. So imagine if no one cares about global warming and the temperature increases to that point. I mean, right now, I think we are at 1.5, but if we get to 3.2, then the global economy will be lost by 18% of its current rate right now. The sources I got my information and data to write my thesis was basically from global books. I used my skills to read in Arabic and English books about these three topics. And of course, magazines like The Economist, Foreign Affairs, and other internet searches. And a major help during this research was the survey and face-to-face meetings with people in Turkey, Iraq, and the United States. Children of Abraham. This is an idea that I adopted about 7 years ago when I first met a man named Bernie Homer here in America. He invited us to his house for dinner. And when he told me a story about a young man and his mother who moved to America and received medical treatment, he didn't know that he was telling me and sharing with me my story. So after he finished, I told him, Bernie, that was me. So he started trying. It's a long story. I don't have enough time to share it with you. So he told me, Mohammed, there is in this table today a Muslim, a Christian, and a Jewish. Bernie is Jewish. He said, if we can Why can't the word? And that sentence stayed with me forever. And I kept asking myself the same question over and over again. If we can, why can't everybody else does that? Why do we have to live with differences? We have to live with fear of, saying we can't live together. I mean, Martin Luther King, he had a dream. Why didn't we reach that dream? So that's the main idea of Children of Ibrahim. Children of Ibrahim is an organization that I imagined and created that will have a system that connect all major global organizations like United Nations, European Union, and others, and human rights, of course, to work together and have one goal, which is to save the planet and improve the economy, and also to live in a better place. So what can we do as individuals to achieve that goal? Just bear with me 1 second. So, yes, back to where I am. What should we do to achieve that goal? First, we need to participate and support local peaceful movements, and also educate yourself, family, and friends about human rights and climate change. Third, help leaders and policymakers to make the right decisions. Fourth, elect and nominate qualified individuals to make this world a better place to live. And also use a clean energy to improve air pollutions and help climate change. That's all I have for today, and thank you so much for listening. And now I'll be opening this for my advisor and
So, obviously, thank you for the presentation. We wanted to just come over.
Good. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Jay and I, give the opportunity to ask some questions, and obviously everyone else that's attending, they can also ask questions if they're not familiar with, your research or the outcomes that you had wanted. But I think first and foremost, it's a very inspirational story. We're thrilled and happy that you've attended Rosemont College, that you've pushed through and persevered through so much, your mother and yourself. So we think that that's a wonderful accomplishment in and of itself before even doing the education part. So we commend you on all of those achievements before you even started writing, right? It's a very inspirational story, and I look forward to your continued success and whatever I can do to help you achieve more in your life and the goals that you have set for yourself. With regards to the topic, when we watch the video, can you talk a little bit about the impact? Like, what was the driving force to get involved in these types of activities, like your business, the security business, the things that you have interest in? Was there any hint of that before you were injured and the activities that took place in Iraq? Did you always want to do this, or is this something that came as a direct result?
No, that's a direct result. To answer it in short sentence, before I was injured, I always wanted to be an engineer and play soccer. That was my main hobby as a kid. I always played soccer, but because of the car bomb, that's when I started to think over myself, like, how can I do something different to save the world? To make this world a better place. One thing, Professor Tom, I want to share. Back in Fallujah in 2004, 2005, when the first and second battle of Fallujah happened, my only wish as a kid during that time was to wake up in the morning without hearing a bomb going off or a gunfire. That was my only wish back then.
Yep. Absolutely. So now that you've, it's been a number of years and with your subject, what was the most difficult part of, researching the subject and trying to get, answers and commitment and involvement? You obviously travel quite a bit. There's a lot going on logistically. Talk to us about the challenges that you had in research and overcoming all those things.
Yes, there was many challenges. One of them is traveling, and traveling is good because I met a lot of good individuals that helped me through this research. But the challenge was to keep up and keep writing. Writing was my big challenge. I never imagined myself, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, I will be able to write 3 or 4 pages essay back in when I was doing my associate degree at Valley Force Military College. But now I just finished today a 100-page essay. So that was a big challenge for me, writing in English. The next challenge is to focus on this research. I had so much going on with my family, with work, and also personal matters that really kept me away from I wish I had better timing to focus on my research. And I had to reschedule my thesis. I'm supposed to submit this last semester, but I end up submitting it this semester.
Yep, absolutely. So as far as the subject goes, you have what we would call a multi-prong area, right? There's a handful of things that you think need to be addressed, not just today, but going forward. Of the 4 areas that you kind of focused on, which is there one that is way more important than any of the others? One that rises above the others? Is it leadership? Is it more about climate change? Depending on what news source or where you're researching, there's a lot of instance around like climate change focus. But in your research, did you find that there is a predominant item that comes up all the time? Is it leadership? Is it climate change? Is it something else?
Yes, it's not just from the research, from everything that I looked around me. All 4 topics I discussed are important, but the most important one that I'm fearing is violence. I mean, right now, I'm currently at work, by the way, and there's in the window, ABC6 are doing a report because yesterday there was a lot of things happened in Philadelphia that we can't discuss in my presentation.